Hello, and thank you for joining us for another Changer Chat. I'm Peter Stiepelman with Be the Change Volunteers, and today we have the opportunity to do an on-site interview with Claudio Sanchez in his home in the Peruvian rainforest. Claudio is a professional guide for Amazonia expeditions and has been for many years. He was born in El Chino village, a village that his grandfather was actually a founding member of, and also the village where Be the Change Volunteers has been serving for almost 10 years. And in that time, Claudio has been a community partner serving alongside BTCV teams and building a future for his relatives. This year, Claudio was selected as the very first recipient of the Partner Exchange Program Scholarship, which sends Be the Change volunteer community partners to different projects globally so that they can exchange, engage, participate, and learn. We are excited to learn more about Claudio's story, so thank you for joining us. Claudio, we are sitting right here in your home in the Peruvian Amazon, a place where you were born. Tell us about your elders, grandparents, founding the village, your family here in the village.
So my granddad, so his name Juan. He coming here. He's the first people to come in that village. He lived in one village called Esperanza, and then one day he decided to move here because in that place before is a rich place, a lot of animals, a lot of fish. About this, he decided to come here in the 1912. He came the first people to live in here. He came in with three families. The first family, Waijawa, is my granddad. And then Sangamas is another family, and Manuyama, three families coming here. He grew up here. My dad, he grew up in that El Chino. Around 1930, we came more peoples. We came here. It's called Patron. Patron is like boss. Fall on that guy. We coming more people to working in the rubber trees, and working in the farm like orange and sugar cane. And then one day, the boss has more experience, about city. He decided to put one school, The first teacher living in one local people's house, And teacher, in that time, don't pay the teacher because the boss, he's teach, some like actually not a real teacher, So in this case, my dad is the first student. Around 1960, we have the first school from the government, in El Chino. So that is about El Chino.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned the rubber trees and the sugar plantation, and that is very difficult on the land.
Yeah.
And you have chosen a career as a guide.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine you do that to educate people about the environment and about this beautiful place.
Yeah.
When did you decide you wanted to be a jungle guide with Amazonia expeditions?
Oh, wow. I'm going to tell about short history. I'm studying El Chino. I'm studying my kindergarten in El Chino and then primary school. So in that time, don't have secondary school here. So about this, my dad, he decided to buy one house in Iquitos and then I moved there to continue to study, because I'm very lucky because I have opportunity to continue my study, First, my father is a fisherman, working the farm. About this, my father have some opportunity to buy one house, to give some money for every weeks for my study. And study there at secondary. When we finish my secondary, I'm continuing to study mechanic, I'm study mechanic. And then one day we back to Chino. My boss, Dolly, he said, Claudio, are you interested to work for my company, like check the motors, because I'm a mechanic. So I'm saying, oh, that's a good opportunity, to work in there. And then also it's close to my dad house, my job. About this and decide to work in there, like mechanic, check motors. And then every days I'm listening the guides talk with passenger, to say how are you, like good morning. And then I'm very smart. I use a pen and paper, every word, write. So I'm learning like that my English. So actually I don't go to school for English. I'm learning like parrots. So after 1 year, I'm speak a little bit English, in around 2017, I'm working with Be the Change. In that time, don't speak nothing English. So actually now I speak more English.
I think you are doing marvelously. Mm-hmm. What do you love most about being a guide?
So, I love to share the information about the jungles, about the animals, I love that. Also, I love to teach about survivor camping, I like to camping. I like all this.
What do you find to be the most challenging, the most difficult part about being a guide?
Well, sometimes some people, when we came here, so I'm very lucky because don't have like that passengers. Some passengers coming here like angry, So I'm very lucky I never have this. I think so it depends the guys. For example, if you smile all the time, passenger also following you, smile,
I can tell you I have known Claudio for 3 years and he is always smiling.
Yeah, exactly.
It's true. It makes me want to smile.
Yeah.
What do you like about serving with Be the Change teams when they come here?
Wow, I like to see the volunteers when we came here to share the work, share the experience. Also, when we came here, people like students, I like to see students playing with children. Also adult, we including in that. I like this to see. Also, I like to see when people came here to give some soccer balls, like books. I'm very happy when we see this.
It really feels like it is a real cultural exchange. Mm-hmm. I have observed other visits between communities, and sometimes it feels like the teams that come want you to feel so happy that they're there. And here it seems like the Be the Change team is so happy to be a part of the El Chino community. Not like, what can you give me? More, how can we be your partner? And how can we make this world just a little bit smaller? And that leads me to my question about Malawi. So you met Joe Ford, a Be the Change changer, on a Peru project, and you really hit it off. And I'm told you both are pretty good at pig calling. I don't know what that means, but Joe's friends created a scholarship in his honor and specifically selected you because of that relationship with Joe. Tell us about how you learned that you would be receiving a scholarship to travel to Malawi, Africa, on a Be the Change volunteer project, and how you felt.
So, I'm going to say thank you very much, Joe Ward families. So I'm very, very happy for that opportunity, Also, I'm going to say thank you very much, Be the Change, for that opportunity to travel. I never think to travel very far, So that's a nice experience for me in Malawi. So when we are there, I saw the people's, when we go in the first day, the people very happy. A lot of students, a lot of people dancing, singing, so happy. I'm very excited to see that in Malawi. I enjoying there in Malawi, enjoying the work. Also, when we are there and work, a lot of people around. When we working, a lot of people see me, oh, that's guy. People I think so say, oh, this is no gringo, like not tourist, because I'm working, because I'm from one village, I'm sharing also my culture to there, working, Also, I'm learning from there.
Is it true that this was your first trip outside of Peru?
Yeah, that's true. My first time, yeah.
So many people take a trip to Disney World as their first trip. You chose to go to Malawi.
That trip is, to go to Malawi for working for education, I like that opportunity to work in there.
We are going to talk about the school and the project, but our director, Grant, wanted us to touch on the subject of how professionally trained you are and how apparent that must have been when compared to other tour services. You really asked the guides great questions, and they could tell that you were an expert in your field when you would say what kind of bird that was, what its scientific name. It was really impressive. You had a chance to meet with the students in Malawi. What did you learn from them, and how is life different in Malawi from Peru?
I'm learning there in Malawi about the equipment to work, because when we work in there, when we work in the soccer field, I never using that, I don't know that's word, I never use this, so I'm learning about one friend. I make one friend there, he's teach me. Also, that guy speak English. When we working, so I don't speak that Chichewa language, So I gonna ask at this. Well, I remember one day when we working, so the smallest students stay there. In this case, that students a little shy. I have one idea. I gonna make job for that smallest children, And me and the other volunteers, job families, we talk and say we're gonna collect in the grass and then make job for that smallest boy. And then we collect a lot and they give some part. In this case, when after 2-3 minutes, we saw a lot of kids around me give to this. I'm very happy for that, If you make job for that students, that's a student working there. A student. So also I bring that experience from here, from El Chino, because when the volunteer came here, and say at the small children, you can go to help at the volunteer, And then when we go there, I have the same idea to make job for that.
It sounds like there are more similarities between our countries and our communities than there are differences. Yes. The fact that you could connect with children through laughter and smile and jokes is universal. Yeah. Were there any pieces that were different that you noticed in terms of how students interacted with each other, interacted with their teacher, interacted with the volunteers? Did you notice anything different?
So I think so, similar. Only the difference there, I saw the teacher working with volunteers, work together. Sometimes I'm ask my friend, he say, that teacher don't have a class, he have free, 1 hour, 2 hours. And then that teacher came to working to help. That is very nice. So, in my village, is different, The teacher just working the last day. So about this, I'm a little shy, a little, it's bad for me because it's my village here.
On this trip, you were not a guide. You were not a community member. You were a traveler, right? Someone from another country traveling to Malawi and part of the volunteer team. Who on the trip stood out to you? Who was someone you noticed and respected on the trip?
So, I'm very grateful, Grant. Wow, that's a great man. It's a nice leader. It's a great leader, Grant. You know, every day after finish the job, we talk. You know, to say how was your day in your job. You know, every day ask that. About this meal in the future, I need to say like Grant. Also Jimmy, you know. Also Jimmy.
No, forget Jimmy. What did you find most challenging about the trip? Was it the work? Was it the long travel? Was it being away from your family? What was the hardest part of the trip?
So the hardest part is in the last day when we saw to leave the smallest children, you know. When we came here, when we are in the bus, I saw a lot of children fall on the bus. I'm very excited, being very sad in that time, you know. I'm going to say goodbye, you know. Right. I'm very excited. There's also the families. I'm very scary when we flying, as long as my first time to flying very far. So I'm also excited, you know, like scary and excited in that same time.
So my last question, I wanted to ask you this at dinner the other night when you were describing the difference between rice every day and the food in Peru. And I think one of my thoughts, and I want to know what you think, it seems to me that it doesn't matter if you're in Peru or Malawi or Puerto Rico or Papua New Guinea or Rwanda, right? That there's something that brings us all together as part of Be the Change. And I'm curious, for you, what is it that brings us all together?
Okay. You know, for me, it's the education. Education is very important, you know, in different countries. In this case, don't necessarily, you know, about foods, about other education is the first in all the time, education. Thank you, Be the Change, for that opportunity.
Claudio, we are grateful for your service to Be the Change volunteers, as well as so many others we get to talk to. So be the change.
Let's go.
Wait, say it again.
Let's go be the change.
I put this interview together after getting back from completing the second classroom in El Chino, Peru. And just hearing Claudio's enthusiasm for the project in Peru and in Malawi is such an incredible reminder of how education can really be a pathway to a more prosperous and enriching life. For more information about Be the Change and its projects all over the world, please find us at BeTheChangeVolunteers.org.